Hi, welcome to the Whiskey Chicks podcast. My name is Amy.
And I'm Amy's sister, Susie.
We are going to be talking to you about Whiskey Chicks. You may ask yourself, what in the world is a Whiskey Chick? Well, it's a term our Nana, our grandmother, used to describe anything and everything, like a doodad or a thingamajig.
For our purposes today, Amy and I have framed Whiskey Chicks as those random moments in life that accumulate over time that compel us to grow, learn, and evolve. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, funny, or sad, with each Whiskey Chick comes a lesson, an aha moment, a lotus blooming from the mud and muck, resulting in wisdom and healing.
Whiskey Chicks have brought us both to a place in our lives where we love ourselves and speak our truths. The last thing Nana said to me before she passed on was, "Be true to yourself, little A." That was the nickname she had for me. The angel spoke straight through her in that moment, and I knew I had quite a journey ahead of me. It was that Whiskey Chick, the last Whiskey Chick she delivered, that set me off on an incredible growth journey. She is the force behind this creative endeavor. We dedicate every Whiskey Chick to her. We're grateful you're here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Chicks podcast. I'm Susie.
And I'm Amy.
And we're back to talk about more life stuff, riveting life stuff that we just come up with on the fly. No, we kind of do, actually.
But it's true.
It totally
Little things will inspire us. I'm like, oh,
we are unscripted for your entertainment. And yeah, I really don't edit any of our podcasts, by the way. I just let it fly. Let it fly.
The
anyway,
art of banter.
Yeah. Amy and I have been, again, we're all on a healing journey in general. But as of the last several years, Amy and I have really started to go deep into that. And it's almost like you're learning how to, I don't know how to say this, like you're learning how to become who you really are.
Yep.
And what that looks like. And when you start doing that in your 50s, I mean, you've got a lot of life under your belt to go through to see like what works, what doesn't, what you maybe want to change or manifest for change. But anyway, Amy and I have never really been great at, we are now, but we never really were great at like communicating, like with ourselves as sisters, with people, friends, anyone you interact with, basically. And, we're going to talk about a book that Amy's, I think she said it's her second, you said, oh my God, like you're not even here. You said it's your second time of reading it, but I want to let you talk more about that. But I just, in the world we're living in now with staring at cell phones and, or pulling out your phone at any second to capture a moment instead of just living in it authentically without any proof of it other than yourself. I think there's a lot lost now with how we interact with each other and I'll air quote communicate with each other. So, but anyway, what is the name of the book? The Awakening?
It's called The Book of Awakening.
Awakening.
By Mark Nepo. And it's a daily read. So there's an entry for every day of the year. I got halfway through it last year when I first got it. I kind of started on January 1 in August and we're just reading every day. And then, we just had the new year. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start it all over again. I'm going to start on January 1 and read every entry on the accurate day. So the entry for yesterday was about learning to say no and being comfortable with it. So I had a little light bulb come on. I'm like, you know what? I think this is an important, relatable topic. It's a Whiskey Chick.
Did you really say that to yourself?
No, I just made it up right now.
Okay. On the fly, yo. Yeah, I feel like when we ask simple yes or no questions to people and they will give us the yes or no and then like the violins come out, and like, you know, there's a whole like scene set up with them basically over explaining why they gave us that simple answer. And, you know, like when I would be on a cash register at work, I'd be like, do you need a bag today? Yes or no? And I get, well, yes, I do, because I don't have my car today. I have my husband's car, and my bags are in my car. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, do you need a freaking bag or not? Something as simple as that, right? I don't need to know why you need a bag. I just asked you if you needed one. Yes or no? So I feel like, you know, we have a constant need to, I don't know how to say that. It sounds so good in my head, and then I try to say it out loud, but like, I feel like we constantly need like some validation from people, like they're cool with our answer. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, and I think there's in your example right there, clearly there was something behind that. She had some guilt, like, you know how your brain kind of goes from A to Z in 2 milliseconds. You know, it's like you asked her if she needed a bag, and her brain probably went, "Oh God, I didn't bring my reusable bags. I'm doing something bad for the environment. If I say yes, she's going to judge me, and oh my God, I'm going to look bad." Blah blah blah. I mean, all these. That's kind of right. That's where
Yeah.
the root is coming from in just that second. You know, but you know, it's like it's okay. It's okay.
I think it also comes from us like living in a fear-based society, right? She's afraid I'm judging her, you know, but the thing is, like, and I guess we're going to talk about the Netherlands a lot because we have family there, but I think I just sent you and Sophia this on social media, where people think that Dutch people are very rude, and they're not. They're just super like direct to the point, no bullshit. Like, they'll tell you like it is. I mean, they're the people that are going to sit across the table and be like, you have a booger hanging out of your nose. You know, I do that anyway, just for a laugh. But, you know, we have a lot to learn from cultures that live that way, because that's just who they are. And I mean, I think they're pretty happy as a nation, but it's a whole nother podcast.
Well, but let's consider what it does to you every time you say yes when you mean no. And it could be something as simple as the grocery bag example, or it can be in a family dynamic where you're being asked to go to a big party or do something. You know, and I know there's going to be some exceptions to this, especially around work and things like that. But I don't know, for, you know, let's back it up for a second to the 4 agreements. We have that podcast, right? We talk about domestication. For me, I feel like I was domesticated to self-sacrifice and be a people pleaser. And so my whole life, I've had a hard time saying no. And each time you do that, you chip away at your spirit. You kind of wear down who you are inside, and it's like it dulls your light. And you do it for long enough, and pretty soon you're just like, it's almost exhausting. You know, it's like, why you do all this self-sacrificing, and you're saying yes when you mean no, and you're not being true to yourself, right? It wears you down over time. So how
you
do we
don't
get
even
to the
know it's happening either.
No. And so how do you get to the point where you're okay just saying no? And I've seen all over the internet, you know, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no, right? If your answer to the question is not hell yeah, then it's a no. And be okay with saying no, because that's what's true for you. And if you get some pushback, maybe there's some dialogue, and maybe you need to make some concessions from time to time, but don't just say yes to say yes and then hide all your feelings and stuff it down. I mean, it's better just to say no, and here's why. And if someone goes, well, but I really need you to go, and here's why. And then maybe you can have a dialogue, and maybe you agree to go in the end, but at least you've said your piece and you didn't just say yes and shoved it down, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing too, is like talking to people that, I mean, it comes from the other person too, like having an open dialogue like that, where if I say, hey, Amy, you want to go to this, this friend's house for dinner tonight, and you say no. And I'll be like, okay, but on another circumstance, I could say like, well, why? And then you just tell me, you speak your truth, you're true to yourself. And then that's the end of it.
You're impeccable with your word.
That's right. And then I don't take it personally. I mean, it's
hopefully.
I know, right?
But a lot of people do.
Yeah. No,
and that's the other side of the coin, right?
Yeah, is not getting the answer that you want. But and that comes from a place of being unselfish and being considerate of the other person and respecting their boundaries and how they're feeling, to be like, hey, that's okay if you don't want to go to the gathering tonight. I totally understand. You have some you time. I'll go. And there should never be these feelings of obligatory crap, in your answer, like, oh, I have to go. But do you really have to go? No, you don't. You don't have to do anything.
You're making that up in your head. That's all your domestication coming to the surface.
Yeah, it's about choice. Even though a lot of people say, like, I have to go to work. I understand why people say that, but theoretically, you do not have to go to work. That is your choice, and like for me, I actually enjoy my job, but in jobs past where I'd be like, I don't want to go to work, and then I have this moment with myself, this inner dialogue where I'm like, yeah, but I earn vacation hours and I get a discount on food, and I can, not use vacation hours to make up for my sick time. So then I'll be like, I should go to work because I'm healthy enough to go to work, and I'm grateful for that. But I am saying, like, you don't really have to do anything, but it is about choice, and choices have consequences. But that's a whole other podcast.
I'm glad we got that out of the way. Always got to say it at least a couple of times.
Yeah, I got that in. But I do feel like there really is I don't want to say an art because that's so cliche and how everybody says it, but there really is an art to saying just yes or no to things, and then from within yourself not feeling the need to explain. And this is something that I've gotten better at, where I just have, like, I'll have a coworker ask me something and I'll just be like, no. And they're waiting for me to keep going, and I don't. They're like, okay. So that's something I'm getting better at, because then from me, I'm not feeling the need to over explain why I gave them that answer. You know what I mean? Like,
because you shouldn't have to.
It's hard to not do that, because I think but I think we're wired in society to over explain, Well,
yeah, because we're so worried about what other people think, and oh, maybe they're not going to like us anymore, or maybe they're going to get mad at me, or maybe, but if that's what's happening, those aren't your people. They're not your people. Let them fall away. If you can't be true to yourself with certain people, they're not your people,
It's taken me years to get my friendship circle down to a point where I'll be like half an hour away from meeting up with someone, and I'll be like, you know what? I don't want to leave the house. They're like, okay. No problem.
They're your people.
Then my people are like, ooh, now I get to stay home. But anyway, yeah, when you feel the need to over explain things to people or do things out of obligation, I mean, it just there's a lot of ego involved in that, and there's a lot of fear involved with that. And that violates pretty much any spiritual code that I know of. And no matter what you believe in. And so I really think there is a lot of opportunity for how we communicate with each other I'm not talking about with a email or a text message. I'm talking about looking someone in the eye and having like a conversation, a real conversation with them. And just knowing that if you are using your agreements, being impeccable with your word, not making assumptions, not taking anything personally, and doing your best, all those things come into play. Like, what the other person does is not on you.
But think about the ramifications of saying yes when you mean no internally. I mean, we know for a fact that the more you stew on the inside, especially if you do it long term, the more detrimental it is on your health. I mean, it can manifest in vague, sickly symptoms, but when you say yes, when you mean no, what typically happens? Well, you have a reaction. You might internalize it, but what is that reaction? It's like you're under your breath going, God dang it, right? And you start to have this internal dialogue with yourself. Like, I don't want to go. Why did I say yes? Oh, I don't know. You just always want to, and you're like,
I thought your head was going to spin around for a second.
but and then you don't share it with anybody. And the right thing to do is to then say, you know what? I meant to say no, and just kind of see where it goes. But my point is that I know I've done this. I don't know how many times in the past where I've said yes and I meant no. And then I'm like yelling at myself on the inside. And that is so unhealthy. That is, it creates so much stress on the body. And then I'm talking about it to myself for days. I'm like, oh, Amy, that all could have just been avoided by just saying, no, that doesn't sound good to me. Boom, done. So, but I want you to think of that might be the homework for today. I won't say it yet.
Yeah, keep it to yourself.
Shh, it's a secret.
Not until it's the right time.
But yeah, but that chips away at your spirit and your soul and who you are. It like ages it. It doesn't what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't boost it at all. It just ages it and wears it down. Right?
I feel like sometimes when we make decisions that aren't for our highest good and how we do stuff, I hear like game show noises like stuff like that. Like the universe is like, wah, 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 wah. Try again, Susie. Wrong answer. Not for your highest good.
Oh, totally.
But totally. But yeah, I mean, when things chip away at your soul, and that what we're talking about is just like one of many things that can chip away at your soul. And also by chip away at your soul, I think we mean sapping energy as well, and
right.
making you feel tired. And I don't know, my train just derailed, like off the track. I was gonna say something, and then I was like, wah, 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 wah. That's what I heard in my head. But I was talking about it sapping energy. And I think this is why I'm so tired when I come home from work, because my 99.9% of my day is other people talking to me like all day. And it's not that it's not that it bothers me, but so here's where I don't want to say there's an exception to this saying no thing, but I can't just look at a customer and they're like, do you have basil? I can't just be like, no. Because they want to know.
You got to finesse it sometimes.
They want to know why. And it's true, we haven't had basil lately. But but my whole day, like when I leave for the day, I think to myself, yes, I've done a lot of physical work, but I work in a grocery store, and it's just like people all day, just like in a line, just like talking to me and asking me questions. And I don't mind it, but yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, it sapped some stuff. Like, I'm ready to chill.
Yeah.
So,
and if you find yourself like, oh God, here we go. That might be good homework too.
you're gonna have like a A, B, and C homework if you keep this up. Bullet pointed homework.
Think about this too. The more you say yes when you mean no, you almost become invisible. Think about that, because you're just going with the crowd, you're conforming, and that creates this invisibility. I think that's an interesting thing to ponder as well. But if you find that you're a person who has a hard time saying no when they mean it, start with something simple like what you really want for dinner, what movie you really want to see. I mean, like if someone says, "What do you want for dinner?" I feel like Chinese. So, I feel like, I don't know.
You can't even pick a
In-N-Out.
food. I was gonna say pizza. I was just gonna say. I was like pizza.
Okay. Okay, pizza. Whatever. It doesn't sound good to me tonight. I feel like pizza. Don't just go along with it if Chinese doesn't feel good to, doesn't sound good to you. But you can just start with simple stuff like that. Just start exercising those. I'm comfortable saying no because that's what's true for me muscles, right?
True for me muscles. I'm full of those, let me tell you. True. Yeah, but so that book that you're talking about, this what is it called? I don't like you. Something Awakening, The Art of Awakening, the Awakening,
the Book of Awakening.
Why can't it's such a simple title? Why can't I remember it?
And then the subtitle on it is Having the Life You Want by Being Present in the Life You Have. And
that's profound for the cover of a book.
It is. It's not a part of the title. It's just kind of like a little subtitle down at the bottom.
That sounds dangerously like gratitude.
Oh, gratitude's at the root of everything.
I know
that.
We do know that.
Even
for what is that? Why did I say even for, not for? Even for.
Even for.
It's not even in the English language. Even
yeah,
fur.
it is FIR. It's a tree.
Well, that's a Doug fur.
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 I have a furry jacket.
Oh my god!
Just kidding.
Like my weird English.
But every single time you say no, and you mean it. I mean, every single time you want to say no and you exercise that, you bring back your personal power too. You strengthen that personal power. So every time you say yes when you mean no, you give that power away. So
you're like getting down with yourself. You're like, I just said something awesome. It made me think of like you have like a PP on your chest, like personal power.
Personal power. Well, all of a sudden the solar plexus came to me. I don't know why. It just came to me. Which is your chakra for the personal. That's like your personal power center. It's right in the middle of your stomach. I don't know why it just came to me all of a sudden, and I related this whole thing to giving your power away, just like becoming invisible. You don't want to do that. You want to exercise and keep your power. Exercise
also makes you appear to be like really submissive, because they'd be like, "Oh, Amy will say yes. She always says yes."
It's kind of like, we're going to date ourselves. Hey, Mikey, he likes it. He likes everything. Life cereal. Hey, Mikey.
For those of you that don't know that, it's Life cereal. Yeah,
it's an OG. Look it up on YouTube. Anyway,
I think Mikey's probably in his 80s now. No, he's probably our age.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what this whole like episode is really about. We'll talk about a lot of things that tie into each other that we reference, because we can't talk about it all in one podcast. But at the core of this type of subject matter, we are talking about the fact that you are not here to suffer in this life, and the universe or whatever you believe in does not want you to suffer. It wants you to wake up and it wants you to have gratitude and live the authentic life that you are here to live, to break karmic contracts, to find and follow your dharma. All these things we've already talked about in previous episodes. And, you know, but it's really about taking care of number one, and that is you. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're no good to anyone else anyway. And weakening that by not being true to yourself, or you know, using your agreements, like you said, it just exhausts you, and your soul just, I don't know, I see like this little like stick figure shadow kind of soul, just like hunched over, like, I'm not happy today, you know. And I love that. Is if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. I mean, that is so simple, like very profoundly simple statement. And
It's such the power of saying no when you mean it is such a simple thing. But if you think about it, it's like an onion with all these layers. So I think we're to the point where we're going to go ahead and assign Whiskey Chick homework. What do you think?
I was just thinking that.
Okay. So for those of you out there who haven't, who still find it challenging to say no when they mean yes, the homework is exercise your personal power muscles and say no when you mean it. Be kind about it. We always want to speak with kindness. And do your best to not justify it unless someone asks you some questions around it. And then by all means, be honest and give your opinion. And if you really feel like you have a hard time saying no, try something simple like the dinner or a movie concept. What do you really want for dinner? What movie do you really want to see? And just start there and just feel how it feels to be honest and just say, whoa. I mean, I'm telling you, you will feel so light and strong as opposed to heavy and angry and internalizing a lot of negativity when you're not honest about, you know, when you say yes when you mean no. So that's the Whiskey Chick homework.
I like that homework. I'm gonna do that homework too.
Yeah,
sometimes
me too. I'm still
I do.
learning it.
Yeah.
My whole life, I've been a yes person. Been so afraid of rocking the boat and, you know, disturbing the peace. And, you know, it's just until, especially around in certain circumstances, I've really started to learn to exercise my voice, and it is so empowering. So if you haven't started working on that already, I would highly recommend chipping away at that because you'll feel amazing.
The end.
Period.
Well, again, we want to thank you all for being here with us. I feel like we're really chill today. It wasn't like super like animated.
I feel
funny.
chill.
Yeah.
It was nothing like the poop episode.
Yeah, and no, complete opposite dynamic of episode 12. But you know, we can't be boring. We can't be the same in every episode, or people are gonna. I'm just kidding. I don't even care what they're thinking. But
yes, you do. No, I'm kidding.
I don't.
I know you don't. I'm
being impeccable with my word. But that just really funny. Just sidebar that you said. You know, growing up, all you said was yes, and I felt like I was kind of the opposite. I was always like the no with my little middle finger up. But and look at how different our lives have been in terms of like paths, you know. So anyway, it's interesting. I mean, with us being what?
So let's tie in just before we go. One more thought, since you brought it up. You're an Aries.
Yes.
Okay. I'm a Virgo, and we've talked about this, the North Node being in Aries right now, and my North Node in my astrological chart is in Aries. So I've been learning how to be more Aries. That Aries is more me focused rather than others focused. So that's always been a huge difference between us. You've never had a hard time speaking your mind, no matter what the consequences. I was always afraid to disappoint people, whatever. I mean, so personality differences are very striking between the two of us, but we complement each other at the same time. Okay,
Well,
now I'm rambling.
It's true. No, it's totally true. But anyway, we'll end it there before we run into what will just sound like a phone call. But I know, for reals. Anyway, I will put a link for the book of the Book of Awakening.
The Book of Awakening.
I got it. Woo!
All right.
I will link that. Maybe I should get it.
Maybe you should.
And yeah, Whiskey Chick homework. Know it, live it, love it. All right, we want to thank you all for being with us today and on this journey. We are very, very grateful that you give us a listen, and just know we are, as many people would say, all souls walking each other home. We're no different. So anyway, until next time, what would old Nana say?
Be true to yourself.